Have you ever felt like you are constantly walking on eggshells in your relationship? If so, you may be a victim of coercive control and not even know it. The statistics are staggering. Did you know that 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men will experience some form of psychological abuse in their lifetime? Coercive control is a form of psychological abuse that is often more damaging than physical abuse. It can have long-lasting effects on a person's mental and emotional health, even after they have left that abusive situation. Unfortunately, society is just beginning to learn about this form of abuse, which is why it's so important to educate ourselves and raise awareness. Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Callie Sorensen, and I am a relationship and recovery coach specializing in toxic relationships and cults. I know firsthand the devastating effects of coercive control, as I was in a coercive controlling relationship and spiritual community for years before I finally got the support I needed to heal from my severe anxiety and depression. And now I have dedicated my life to supporting others and sharing this awareness. If you're interested in learning more about this topic, make sure you hit like and subscribe to this channel to get updates on new videos that I release on the red flags to look out for in all types of relationships. And today we're going to be talking about what exactly is coercive control and why is it so harmful? So let's dive in. What exactly is coercive control? Coercive control is a form of psychological and emotional abuse that is often difficult to recognize because it can be very subtle and covert. Rather than focusing on a single incident, such as a single act of physical violence, for example, coercive control is a pattern of behavior over time that is designed to exert power and control over other people. It can involve tactics such as manipulation, love bombing, gaslighting, isolation, threats, stalking, and other forms of psychological and emotional abuse. Make sure you check out my other videos for more information on these tactics. Now, let's break down coercive control into the two words, coercion and control. Coercion refers to the use of manipulation or intimidation to persuade someone to do something that they don't want to do. It can involve physical or verbal force, such as hitting, slapping, or yelling, or it can be psychological, such as manipulating or threatening someone emotionally or mentally, or breaking them down. Coercion can take many forms, and it does not always involve overt acts of violence or threats. It can be very subtle and very challenging to detect. So now let's look at the word control. Control is the power or ability to influence or direct someone's behavior or actions. It can involve setting rules or boundaries, or using rewards and consequence to motivate somebody to behave in a certain way. Now, control isn't necessarily a negative thing. However, when control is used in an abusive or manipulative way, it can become a real big problem. So coercive control is a form of abuse that involves using power or influence to manipulate and control another person in a harmful way. Coercive control is harmful because it undermines a person's autonomy and dignity, self-respect, and it can have very serious consequences for their mental and emotional well-being. Coercive control can happen to anyone, regardless of age, gender, socioeconomic status, or cultural background. It can happen in a variety of different relationships, including intimate relationships, families, friendships, the workplace, in politics, in spiritual or religious communities, and cults. The manipulator might use techniques such as word salad, where they use confusing language or phrases to disorient and bewilder their victim. They may also use gaslighting, which is a form of manipulation that involves denying the reality of the victim's experiences or making them question their own perceptions and memories. The process of coercive control often begins with what is known as love bombing, where the manipulator charms and convinces their target that they are special, loved, and cared for. But gradually, the manipulator begins to diminish their sense of self-worth and autonomy using tactics like isolation, subtle threats, gaslighting, belittling, manipulation, and intimidation. These tactics are designed to undermine the person's sense of self-worth and independence and make them dependent on the coercive controller for their emotional and/or physical needs. This pattern of abuse is often referred to as the abuse cycle, which involves a honeymoon phase that includes that love bombing followed by gradually raising the tension through various tactics or quote-unquote jokes that cut the other person down. Sometimes it can culminate in verbal, emotional, psychological, sexual, or physical abuse. It's then followed by a period of remorse or apology, and then the manipulator starts love bombing, and the cycle begins again. The cycle can be very confusing and disorienting for the victim and can make it really difficult for them to leave the relationship or situation. So why do people use coercive control? There can be many reasons why somebody might engage in coercive control. In many cases, it's a way for them to maintain power and control over others. They may not know how to connect to people or express their feelings, needs, and desires in a healthy way, and so they feel like they have to control the other person to get what they want. They may also have deep-rooted insecurities or past trauma that causes them to act in controlling ways. In other cases, it may be a lack of empathy, care, or concern for the other person. Whatever the cause, it's important to recognize that these coercive controlling behaviors are not acceptable, and these people should be held accountable. If you are in a situation of coercive control, you may feel like you are constantly walking on eggshells in the relationship or the community. People can feel confused, trapped, isolated, fearful, helpless, hopeless. You may be afraid to leave the relationship, job, or community because of threats or a fear of retribution, or you've become dependent on that coercive controlling situation. In many cases, people are made to believe that they are to blame for the abuse and that they are not good enough or deserving of love and respect. Coercive control can have serious consequences. It can lead to a loss of self-esteem, feelings of isolation, and helplessness. People may experience severe emotional or psychological distress, including depression, anxiety, emotional dysregulation, and complex CPTSD symptoms. The effects of coercive control can be long-lasting, and it's important to recognize that recovery from coercive control is a process that may take time. Fortunately, steps forward are being taken to recognize the serious effects of coercive control. In the UK, coercive control was made illegal under the Serious Crimes Act of 2015 and the Domestic Abuse Act of 2021. In the United States, while there is still no federal law specifically addressing coercive control, some states have passed laws that criminalize certain types of controlling, coercive, or abusive behavior within intimate relationships. Other countries have passed laws to criminalize coercive control and provide support for their victims as well. It's also important to recognize that leaving a situation of coercive control does not necessarily mean that the person is safe from being coercively controlled again. If the root causes of the abuse are not addressed and the person does not learn how to set boundaries, maintain a support system, then it could lead to future abuse. I've had many clients who left one coercive controlling relationship and then got into a coercive controlling group or left a cult only to get it in an emotionally abusive relationship. Yet with the right resources and support, it is possible to recover from the effects of coercive control and build a healthy, happy, and empowered future with healthy relationships. If you're not sure if you are in a coercive controlling or toxic relationship, I encourage you to download my free Red Flag Workbook, which is available in the description below. This workbook can help you identify the red flags of coercive control and toxic relationships and take steps to protect yourself. It's important to recognize that coercive control is a serious and pervasive problem, but it is not something that you have to face alone. There are resources, free hotlines, and support available to help you. Therapy, counseling, or coaching can also be an effective way to help people recover from the effects of coercive control and rebuild their self-esteem and sense of self. It can provide a safe space for them to talk about their experiences, be validated, and begin that healing process. It's important to find a practitioner who is trauma-informed and educated on coercive control. With the right support, it is possible to recover from coercive control and move forward to that healthy, happy, and empowered future. I offer one-on-one sessions and specialize in coercive control. You can check out the details in the description below to book an intro call. If you're interested in learning more about this topic, please consider subscribing to my channel for more educational, inspiring, and informative videos on this and other related topics. And don't forget to leave a comment and let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, you deserve to be treated with respect and dignity, and you have the right to a healthy and happy life.